Well, hello, and a very warm welcome back to the Andrew Eborn Show. And it's that time that I enjoy most when we go all the way to South Africa to join my good chum, Errol Musk. How you doing, Errol?
I'm good, thanks. And you?
Yeah, amazing, amazing. And talking about amazing, we were discussing last time about this wonderful event with these taxis, the automated taxis and the robo vans and other things, and also the Wee Robot. But the market bizarrely reacted in a sort of negative way. And we've been trying to unpack that because it didn't make sense. And as you say, they would sort of always sort of resent success, don't they?
Well, I don't say resent. I think they're overwhelmed. It's overwhelming. You know, uh, I mean, it stands to reason. No one has. The rest have not made any real progress at all, and you know, it stands to reason that they would be. It's like if you've been training for the 1500 meters and you think you've got it made and you run onto the track and you start doing a lap for other blokes start running past you, at a hell of a rate and they leave you behind. I mean, that's not very nice, You realize, you think, well, they must be eating something I don't eat, or or they've had more advantage than me, or I don't know. But anyway, the thing is, it's just human nature to so it's very important, actually. I think I just may have read about something like this, that when when the big companies do make some forward stride, they release it a little bit at a time, so
Yeah.
whatever it is, if it's a food or whatever product is, so people don't get totally overwhelmed,
Yeah. So
and
you think doing three things that well, effectively three, wasn't it, with the Robo van as well as the taxi and the Wee Robot itself, the
yeah.
Optimus Gen 2 was too much
Well,
for the market.
it's a total. Well, as I said, the finance fundies simply came out and said en masse, together as a group, they just said this just adds $1 trillion
Yeah.
to the value of Tesla. I mean, that says it all.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter what the
absolutely, and I
doesn't what
think
the
people need
investors.
to sort of remember that is that you have a look at these things. But I always say, look, you under promise and over deliver. I think that's the thing to do. So rather than saying it's 2027, you can say, well, it's going to be 2028, and then you make it 2027. So
Well,
yeah,
yes, obviously people always look for fault, but if you're going to let people get hold of you looking for fault or trouble, then don't try anything. But I mean, everyone who's ever made a success has been told you're going to fall flat on your face.
yeah,
At some point, somebody's told you you're going to fall flat on your face. So if you haven't had that, well, I don't. Everybody said that. If you've ever made a success of anything, there's always been people who've been telling you you're going to fall flat on your face. No, no. This was overwhelming, and the shareholders the shares taken a bit of a dip. Why? I can't imagine. I can't imagine actually anyone selling off their shares when they see this news. That's crazy, because anyone with the slightest, half a neuron would be able to, in their head, would know that this means if the finance fundies say this is going to add $1 billion $1 trillion
brilliant,
in
yeah.
value to Tesla, that your shares are going to be worth more
Yeah,
as a result.
absolutely. You have to ask, don't you, Errol, what on earth were they expecting? Because to me, it looked fantastic. And we talked about regulation, we talked about safety, we talked about cost and not being able to realize the cost. But unless there's evidence to the contrary, it seemed to deliver on all the
Well,
fronts that people haven't expected.
let's look at ourselves. Let's take myself. When I watched this opening, this event, I saw the chaps get into the robotaxi. Now, there's no steering wheel in the robotaxi, and even I shifted my position on my couch. The reaction you get, as this thing moved, you sort of like move your position on the couch,
Yeah.
because and you sort of you look and you think, oh my god, because there's this inherent shock that comes over you. What the hell? And I would imagine if I was in that thing and there's no steering wheel or anything like that, and it just moves off, it's sort of like, what can I'd start
Oh
hanging
no,
on,
you want to grab onto something. I remember
yeah,
many
grab
years
onto
ago,
something,
I went for a
like
drive in
hanging
the
a roller coaster,
Ludicrous. You might remember
eh?
that, and the Ludicrous. It was called the Ludicrous version of these automated cars, and you just let it all do it, and it has this sort of acceleration in a nanosecond from 0 to
Yes, yes,
60.
yes, yes,
And it's human nature because you want to hold on to something, you want to be in control somewhere, don't you?
yes, yes. Yeah, that's right. And so even me, when I saw the car move off, I thought, ooh, you know, surely there should be something, an anchor they can throw out the back window or something like that.
Oh, that was anchor, wasn't it? No, yes, there are
Throw
many
the anchor,
anchors we should be throwing out the back door. It should be good.
yeah, throw it out the back window, anchor. I don't know that. Then you say, oh, shit, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
so
think you're
yeah,
right, and maybe it's sort of looking at that sort of stuff. But as I say, well, the other thing was this Optimus 2 generation, and people trying to understand what that's going to mean, because obviously they handed out gift bags, and poster photos, so you could see it dancing, and all sorts of interactive capabilities, and that's going to be the future, isn't it?
well, quite obviously, it's what we thought the future was going to be 50 years ago, 60 years ago, even in times of Jules Verne or H.G. Wells. The Germans were always very into the future back in the 20s. The way they envisaged. I saw a German cartoon in the 20s, drawn in the 20s, showing people talking on a sort of like it looked like an old-fashioned telephone, but it had a little picture on the top that you were actually talking to the person. Like we do now on a cell phone.
Yeah.
And so that was in the 20s, and they said one day, one day this is going to happen. And so in all the movies and everything, you think of Forbidden Planet with Robbie the robot,
Yeah.
so people have always looked at this as something that might happen or will happen. And now we're in a very fortunate position to be really among the first. Well, you take Star Wars, what D2QQ or and the other one.
R2D2. Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
you know,
Yes.
I mean, they were like they had complete scenes with those two R2D2 and the little golden man,
Yeah.
and those were robots, and supposedly, and we've always anticipated this, and there's no doubt whatsoever that they're going to become, or very, very probably better than humans in some things.
Oh, absolutely. And I think one of the things that, I mean, Elon spoke about this a lot, is the same with AI, is you sort of turn around and about companionship, because people in their older days, if you can have these robot companions that can listen to you much more than a real human might do. And they did this research in the University of California, San Diego, and they said chatting to Chat GPT was more empathetic than chatting to your GP if you can get
I've
an
also
appointment.
found that. No, I've also found that, but they give you nice replies when you ask them a nasty question. They give you a completely sensible reply, which sort of deflates your anger, sort of thing.
Yes.
But no, you can picture this. The man comes home. He says, "Okay," he's got carrying a big box on wheels or something. Okay, he says to the wife, "Okay, I'm done with you." you know, he opens the box, and out comes this good-looking girl.
Yeah.
And it's a silly joke, but I mean, or it could be the other way around, of
Oh
course.
no! And it's joking aside. The rise of artificial AI girlfriends it's $1 billion business, multi-billions in it, because people are investing, and again they spend more time getting to know them and so on and so forth. We had a big story over here about somebody who went into Buckingham Palace with a crossbow. And they were planning to kill the Queen at that stage, Queen Elizabeth. And they were told that they were told by their AI girlfriend to do it because they were
Oh,
which was an
really?
extraordinary thing. So those sort of stories are dominating the headlines. And what happened, Errol, is they were sort of having this conversation, saying, "Well, how can I prove to be a man? Is this a good idea? Should I go and kill the Queen?" And the AI girlfriend at that stage was sort of saying, "Oh no, that would be very good because nobody has ever said that before." So, and so you need to have some sort of program in there to save people from the rise of the
Look,
machine.
I think with people who are a little bit off their rails, I don't think it would be AI. Just about anything, their real girlfriend could tell them that. Their real girlfriend could tell them that. So I think I wouldn't blame AI for something like that. I mean, No, I mean, they could read a book, for example. They could see it. Well, never mind a book. Go and see a film
Yeah.
and see what what is shown in films of what is considered very heroic. And I only watch my 7-year-old playing on his iPad with guns, with machine guns, and the object is to kill everything in sight. And da, 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 you won. So I mean, it's human nature. It's human nature.
Yeah.
I don't think. I think obviously people, important sort of persons, like the Queen and that or whoever, they obviously know that anyone who's a public figure or something, is a target. So, somebody's going to get some kick out of saying, I did this to so and so. If you're not anybody, they're going to kick out in it. It has to be somebody that's like, everybody can say, oh, you did that to that person. Wow. So I think it's normal. It's not
Yeah,
new.
and as you said, it's a change in mindset in the same, and it's about trust. I always say trust comes in on foot and leads on horseback, and you need to basically build trust in the technology. Because Elon was talking about tasks such as babysitting and dog walking and lawn mowing and picking up the groceries and that sort of stuff. Babysitting of those would be the one that probably might cause the biggest alarm, because you're dependent then on a machine to look after your loved one. And I think it's a question of making sure the machine doesn't turn against them. And having seen too many movies, that's the problem with people, isn't it?
Yes, but we have my daughter in Austin who has a baby. Well, this was the first baby 2 years ago. She has a cot that moves. It moves. The base moves, and the natural position of the baby is known. And then she's downstairs. She can hear, and if the baby cries or anything untoward, or there's an alarm on the movement of the cot, that's already a kind of babysitting, because she's not with the baby,
right?
And that's already happening. It's not quite the same thing as something that walks around doing it.
Yeah.
But it's AI.
No, of course it is. And as I say, it's building up trust, isn't it? The more that people can say, look, hang about this machine, it's like having a calculator. We rather than doing it in your head now, you could do this. That's a computer that's helping that sort of side. All of these functions, all of these repetitive, boring functions, some of them will be replaced by AI and robotics and give us more time. But we need to build up that trust. What's the best way of building up that trust?
I think people, I've noticed with especially the younger generation, they pick up on these new things very, very quickly, very, very quickly, and much, not quicker than older people, lightning faster than older people. In fact, most older people today are really struggling with even their phone. They haven't really caught up, and you won't find a man, someone over 60 or something like that, probably even younger, but let's say over 60, who knows all the things his phone could do, or is very unlikely. He only know a few things, and but the kids, on the other hand, they know everything on the phone. They know everything you can do on that phone. And so I think it's almost as though human beings in some previous era, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of years ago, we don't know how long the Earth has been able to sustain life. Maybe it came and went with an ELE, extinction level event. We may have fingers for the very reason that they needed to work a keyboard, and not for any other reason, not to peel bananas, but actually work a keyboard. I don't know. And of course, if you look at, let's say, my mind's running away now. Look at a pianist. Now, I can't play the piano. I've got 2 bunches of bananas, and but I've got a piano though. I like to look at it. Anyway, but you watch your pianists, especially your good ones in it, and you watch their fingers going on the piano, and you just can't believe it. I mean, it's like a keyboard. It's like a computer. And how can that mind of that person do that? It's mind bending. Never mind computers. Never mind AI. Just that, what the human mind can do. But I think there's nothing to worry about. And I think that the worry is learning. When the internet first came out, when I lived in Johannesburg at that time, there's a company here called Incredible Connection that started giving classes to people on the internet. You had to pay for it, but they were really well worth going. And you'd go for a Saturday and start at 8 o'clock in the morning, and go on until about 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, and you paid about £100 for it at the time. It's quite a lot, but at any rate, it was really worth it. And it was hard to get in fact, you know, but they don't seem to do that anymore. And you're supposed to learn by yourself now.
Right.
And I've just been sending a manuscript to a friend of mine in England, near London, in England this morning. And gee, I've had to learn the whole process, how to send a document, but other people, if I had certain other people here with me, they don't even sit down. They just lean over and go tick, 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 and it's done, So yeah, I don't think there's anything to worry about. I think there's a lot to be happy about.
Yeah,
a lot to be.
I think that's the thing. The more we can integrate it into it, we should maybe have one on the Andrew Eborn show. Have a robot next to me, and we could interact and see that. There could be a co-presenter. That would be interesting in our daily conversations, Errol. That would be interesting.
Well, you've probably seen some of these on shows in Japan, where the woman, it's perfect face.
Yes,
but it's a machine behind, the head, and the people are talking and saying things, and the woman, this woman robot is replying very beautifully and saying, why do you want to know that, or let me think about that for a moment, and so on, and you go and go, geez, and even bats eyes, as we might do, it's really
they are incredible. And a lot of the service industries, that's where you have it at airports and check-in and so on and so forth. And they even have it. There's a service that people have done where you can basically communicate with your dead relatives. So during their lifetime, they gather all this sort of information. And then you can either currently have a hologram version, but obviously you can have a robot later, where they could answer in the same ways they would have answered if they'd still been alive. Because they basically have all that information. So they can share the memories. You can go and chat about, remember the time we went for a picnic down in Sonning or whatever it was. And yes, I remember that very well. And
really heartbreaking in a way. A little bit heartbreaking. But why not? I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, the human mind, I always remember as a child, they said the human mind is only being used 10%.
Yeah.
So, let's use the other 90%. I mean, why not? I've got no problem with any of these things. I think we're very fortunate to live in this time. I myself, when I saw the first iPhone in 2007, my daughter brought one back from the United States. I simply couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. The cell phones themselves were already somewhat miraculous. The Nokias and the Ericssons and so on, the little tiny little screen and everything, and you've got a message in it. And then along comes my daughter back from the United States in 2007. She says, "Dad, look here." And she shows me the iPhone 1. And my mind was blown. I couldn't believe it. Everything was on there. Google, the works, everything that you get on your PC was on that phone. I just couldn't believe it. And so
it is quite incredible. Well, that one of the things I'm doing in Japan is we're doing a series on technology, looking at the way it's advanced. And you remember things like the Walkman, where people were so amazed you could listen to that. And we say, well, one day you're going to be able to have thousands upon thousands of songs all on a little device.
The only thing that hasn't happened, let's get real here. In the time when they made vinyl records, we had tremendously good music.
Yes.
The 70s, 60s, and 50s, and 80s, I suppose. Since then, we've got fantastic equipment, but we have lousy songs.
Well, I think one of the mother of some of your grandchildren may disagree. Grimes is particularly fond of her music.
No, that's crap. I don't find that funny. I don't find that but a lot of people do, because I saw that she has like 50 million views. But no, if you want to listen to something really nice, you go on to you look at your TV, and you look maybe on the music channel or something like that, and you'll no doubt choose something by anybody like Elvis, or you mentioned earlier Phil Collins. Where's that stuff today? All right, we've got Adele; she's pretty fantastic, but not much.
No, you're absolutely right. And content is king. I mean, people always forget technology is really just there as a delivery device. But now with AI, it's creating content as well, isn't it?
Well, yes. I mean, yes, I believe I believe it can probably make content, but I think we are running away with ourselves there. The human capability is still uppermost. The human mind is still uppermost. And remember, my sons, Elon and especially Elon and Kimball, used to criticize me because I would say to them that computers are there as a tool.
Yep.
They don't do anything that you haven't told them that they must do or can do. They only do what you show them. And this was, I did a programming course with IBM in 1969, Fortran, formula translation, and commercial language, COBOL. And I completed that course so much so that I actually went to teach other people to use Fortran, other engineers, because it's an engineering program. And but I told my sons as we were going up, look, they were very at odds with me. I was stupid. They just said, I'm stupid. I probably am. But the thing is, I said to them that the computer is a tool. It's not something that is going to make. And now we come to today. In my opinion, it's not going to make better music than somebody like so and so could make. I don't see it happening. I'd love to see it happening. But
yeah, I think it's obviously the best use of AI and these things, as I say, it's the co-pilot, isn't it?
Well, yes, but now take this for example. In our country, and I imagine in England as well, if you have a business, which I've had, like a restaurant, you have to pay, and I suppose, and also in factories and shops and so on. If you play music, you have to pay the Music Rights Association.
That's right. Yeah,
a fee every month, depending on your size and your number of people that you have, and all that, which is common sense. I mean, you have to pay for this entertainment you are giving to people in your restaurant or to your factory and so on. And I agree with that completely. And anyway, but now a few of my friends have done something else. They went, and because they also have restaurants and stuff, they've gone and made up AI music.
right.
You see, and this is their music now. So when a lot of guys don't like, a lot of people don't like things, Samro, or the Music Rights Organization. They sort of feel they shouldn't have to do that. But anyway, I always thought you should. But now they've got this AI music, which is terrible. I mean, it's terrible.
Well, so some of it's really good and fooled the industry. So they had one of the early ones was Drake and the Weeknd. I know two of your favorite artists.
You also get it on your phone when you're waiting.
Over there. That's that pling pling music. No, this is the clever stuff.
It's AI music. It's AI music.
They would do it in the style of Drake and the Weeknd. That was put out, and it fooled the industry. And Grimes, going back to her, she had this brilliant idea of saying, look, okay, you can use my music, but we'll split the royalties. You create something with AI, give me 50% of it. And because obviously it's got to be fed, the machine's got to learn from somewhere. So it's learning from copyright works. And this is why people are being sued all the time. Copyright owners and collecting societies are suing these different AI companies because they're using those copyright works.
Well, yes, exactly. I mean, you have to be fair. I mean, but again, I just repeat, the people are still going to come up with most of the new things. And the machines we make are going to try and copy us to the best of their ability.
Yes.
And again, if you ask me if I'd rather get into a robotaxi driven by Ayrton Senna or somebody like that, or rather one that has no driver, I'd say, no, I'll take it.
I'll take it. Well, I've had the joy with Formula One. Ayrton Senna has driven me. I went to a wonderful restaurant. Yes, no, I was driven by Ayrton. We had a lobster together in Spain after the Spanish Grand Prix. And wonderful, wonderful memories. And we went down these very windy roads, and it didn't feel as though they were windy at all. He was just such a brilliant, lovely character, but also a brilliant driver, obviously.
But what I'm saying is, I'd still go with the human element. If I mean, we're all normal. If I got into a plane and I was told the jet is taking off, there's nobody in the front. It's just it's just the AI at the front. I'd say, well, well, can I just sit up there I'd like to sit in that cabin, just in case,
Yeah.
But at this stage, we still need that you
And
know,
I think
silly
that's right. And
looking pilot.
it's also use it or lose it. People's ability to add up or do basic sums now because they've got a calculator. They
Yeah,
can't do. People can't even communicate anymore. The more smart the devices get, the more
but
stupid people get. They don't know
people
how to
can't
speak.
write.
They don't know how to
People
talk, and
can't.
so on and so forth.
Yeah, people can't write anymore.
But
People
one of
can't
the things
write.
I always say, Errol, is that people talk about AI in education. They all recognize that obviously essays and various other things are being used by students. They're using AI to do first drafts or sometimes even last drafts of it. And I always
Have you
think the
looked at your?
campaign for
Yeah.
oracy, you should be able to get people standing up and saying, okay, we've recognized that AI is part of that education process, but let's encourage people to stand in front of a class and talk and explain.
Yes. No, no, exactly, exactly. There's everything like that is wonderful, terrific, terrific idea. But just on a lighter note, have you ever looked at your own cursive writing lately?
No, you're
Because
right. It looks like
I
little
write it,
spiders
I
crawled
write,
all over the page.
no, I write it, and then afterwards I look at it. I go, what have I written here? I can't read my own writing because I've lost the knack, of writing properly. We're
No,
just not
and
doing it anymore.
that's absolutely
But
so. We mustn't be too reliant, otherwise we will lose that ability.
well, we
But
change, we
the name
change.
of the event was We Robot, which was inspired by iRobot, Isaac Asimov. A lot of science fiction when you were growing up with the Elon. Was it? Did
Oh
you
yes,
enjoy the
yes, yes. They
science
were
fiction books?
totally. Elon was totally into science fiction. He read all the Isaac Asimov books. I think it is.
Yeah.
He was very into that. His Bible was the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, sort of thing, and he was into all that sort of stuff. You know, way young, when he was way young, 9, 10, 11. Much maybe a little sooner than others, but certainly he was into all that sort of stuff. But so was I. I mean, I never read Asimov, but I did read other stuff. And before that, in fact, I used to read the stuff that Werner von Braun. When I was on the Moonwatch team, we were given books that were written by Herman Oberth, who was a professor in Germany, who actually taught Werner von Braun. He was Werner von Braun's professor, and Herman Oberth wrote these German. They were read to us because they were all in German, but they had color pictures. They had color pictures, and the text was read to us, or translated to us by a man called Jack Bennett, as he could speak German, and he had a comic named after him that he was with the Moonwatch team, and he would read the German to us, and then we'd see the pictures of the. I was like 10, 11, 12, or 12, 13 at the time, and we'd see the pictures of rockets landing on Mars that had been drawn, these illustrations, and in those illustrations they actually referred to the controlling body on Mars was called the Elon, ELON.
Yeah.
That's pretty weird. Pretty weird. The controlling body, written in Herman O. These books were written in about 1953, 53, 54, and they were like these hardcover books, and like comic books, but better than comic books. And as I say, in these stories, they referred to the new sort of base on Mars, and the controlling body was called the Elon, ELON, which is kind of super weird, don't you think?
Is that where you got the name from?
The word, I knew the word when he was born, and we were thinking of a name, and he was the first grandchild in both families, and I thought I should introduce a name from his mother's side, and as it happened, he had a great 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 grandparent whose name was Elon Haldeman.
Right.
So the name rang a bell with me, and I said, "Well, let's try that name," and everybody accepted it, and so I thought it was a nice gesture from my side. I don't think it was appreciated, but it was a gesture from my side. Anyway, I think it's better than Dennis or
Dennis
Henry.
Musk. There you go.
Dennis or Henry or what Alfred or.
Well, I know lots of good Dennises, Alfreds and Henrys. So, apologies to
No,
all
I
of
mean,
those.
it was a more modern name, more modern, as opposed to. Of course, when it came to Kimball, my set work in high school in grade 12 was Rudyard Kipling's book Kimball O'Hara, and Kim. And
Yes.
it's a fantastic book about a little boy, white boy who gets lost in colonial India in the 1900s, and works his way up until they eventually find out that he's actually was this lost English boy. Anyway, he was Kimball O'Hara, and so I couldn't get that name out of my mind. So I used that for Kimball.
And Tosca?
Yeah. Tosca, my head girl when I was in grade 8, Form 1, the head girl of the school I was in co-ed school, was Tosca Server. And she was from Hungary.
Right.
And she was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen in my life. The most incredible individual I'd ever seen in my life. I couldn't believe it, and she was, of course, 5 years older than me, which meant she was like 50 years older than me. And just if she spoke to you, you were like frozen to the spot like Lot's wife, or something. So I never forgot her name either. So when my daughter came along, that's Tosca.
There you go. Did you explain that story to May when you named her?
Probably not. But I did tell my daughter that.
Oh, you did? Fantastic stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Well, wonderful stuff. Well, we're going to take another break. We will be back straight after these messages.
All right.